Slightly suspenseful, ambient music begins, with the sound of a car driving on an empty road, Highway 87. A lonely ribbon of asphalt cutting through the New Mexico plains. It's a road most people avoid after dark. The locals, they have their stories. They say the wind out there doesn't just howl, it whispers. And late one night, at exactly 11:47 p.m., a man named Mark Davis was driving that very road. He was in his black pickup, heading home from a construction job 2 towns over, tired, but pushing on, wanting to be home before midnight. The only sound was the steady hum of his tires on the pavement. He fiddled with the radio, hoping for a song to break the monotony, but all he got was static. Then, with a soft crackle, the radio went dead. Mark sighed, tapping the dashboard. Great. Another fuse problem. As he looked up, his headlights caught something in the distance. A figure. A woman, standing alone on the shoulder, waving her hand. She wore a simple white dress that fluttered in the night wind. Her hair was a mess, and even from a distance, her face looked pale and lost. Mark slowed down, his mind racing. There were no houses, no gas stations, nothing for miles. What was a woman doing out here? He pulled up beside her, the gravel crunching under his tires, and rolled down the window. "Hey, you okay? Need help?" The woman didn't answer right away. She just stared at him, her eyes wide, almost vacant. Finally, her voice came out, a trembling whisper. "I need a ride. My car broke down." Every instinct in Mark's body screamed that this was wrong. The desert at midnight is no place to be, and something about the situation felt off. But he couldn't just leave her. What if she was really in trouble? "All right," he said, against his better judgment. "Get in." She climbed into the passenger seat without another word. The moment she closed the door, a deep, unnatural cold filled the cab of the truck. It was the kind of cold that seeps into your bones. Mark cranked the heater up, but it made no difference. The chill remained. He tried to break the tense silence. "So, where's your car?" She pointed vaguely behind them. "Back there. It just stopped working." Mark glanced in his rearview mirror, expecting to see headlights, or at least the glint of metal. But the road behind them was completely empty, a black, unending void. A shiver traced its way down his spine. "Are you sure it's back there?" he asked, his voice a little shaky. The woman turned her head slowly, her eyes meeting his. Her voice dropped to a barely audible whisper. "I think so." There was something about her tone, a finality that made Mark deeply uneasy. He risked a quick glance at the passenger side mirror, and his blood ran cold. For a split second, he saw his own reflection, the seat beside him. But not hers. She wasn't there. He blinked hard, shaking his head. It had to be a trick of the light. He was just tired. He had to be. "Where are you headed?" he asked, trying to steer the conversation, and his thoughts back to normal. She looked straight ahead at the dark road. "Home," she said softly. "Just home. And where's that?" She gave a faint, unsettling smile. "You'll see." The miles stretched on under a pale, sickly moon. Mark started to notice something strange. He kept passing the same billboard, a faded red sign with peeling paint that read, "Welcome to Dry Creek, population 0." He was certain he'd passed it at least twice already. He reached for his phone to check the GPS, but the screen was frozen. The little blue dot representing his truck wasn't moving. Then, the woman spoke again, her voice sounding distant, like it was coming from far away. He never made it home either. Mark's hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Who?" he asked, his throat dry. She didn't answer. She just tilted her head slightly, her gaze fixed on him. "You should have stayed on the main road." "What?" Before he could process her words, the truck's headlights flickered wildly, and then the engine sputtered and died. The pickup coasted to a silent stop in the absolute middle of nowhere. Mark frantically turned the key in the ignition. Nothing. Come on," he muttered, his panic rising. When he looked up from the useless ignition, the passenger seat was empty. The woman was gone. He checked the door. It was still locked from the inside. The only sound was the lonely, mournful howl of the desert wind. Mark grabbed his flashlight and stepped out of the truck, the cold air hitting him like a physical blow. "Hello? Where'd you go?" His voice was swallowed by the immense darkness. He circled the truck, his flashlight beam cutting a nervous path through the night. And then he froze. In the dusty dirt beside the road there were footprints, but they weren't fresh. They were faded, half filled with sand, as if they'd been there for weeks, maybe longer. His light continued to scan the area, and that's when he saw it. Tucked away in the brush, almost invisible in the dark, was the rusted, burned-out wreck of a car. The hood was melted, the windows shattered. He stumbled closer, a terrible feeling of dread washing over him. He shone his light on the mangled license plate, and his heart stopped. It was his license plate, his truck's license plate. He fell back, dropping the flashlight, his mind unable to comprehend what he was seeing. "What the hell?" The air became glacial. The wind intensified, and now it carried whispers. Faint, ghostly voices calling his name. "Mark. Mark." He spun around, searching the empty desert, but there was nothing. He was completely alone. When he turned back toward his truck, she was standing there, right in front of it. Her white dress was now torn and stained with dirt. Her eyes were hollow, black pits in her pale face. "You shouldn't have stopped," she whispered, her voice a dry rustle of leaves. Mark backed away, shaking his head in disbelief. Who are you?" Her face began to contort, the pale skin shifting to a deathly gray, her lips pulling back into a cold, terrifying smile. "I was where you are now, and no one came for me." She took a step closer, her form flickering, her voice breaking up like radio static. "Now, it's your turn." The wind roared into a deafening scream. The fallen flashlight flickered one last time and went out, plunging everything into absolute blackness. And then, silence. The next morning, a highway patrol officer found Mark's pickup truck abandoned on the side of Highway 87. The driver's door was wide open, the keys still dangling from the ignition. There was no sign of Mark Davis anywhere. The only thing they found was a single woman's shoe on the passenger seat, old, worn, and covered in a thick layer of dust. The locals will tell you, the story of Mark Davis is just another chapter in the legend of Highway 87. They say if you're brave enough, or foolish enough, to drive that road after midnight, you might just see her, a woman in a white dress, standing on the shoulder, waving for help. But whatever you do, don't stop, because if you do, you might never make it home. Thanks for watching, everyone. This was a chilling one. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard a story like this. And if you enjoy tales that send a shiver down your spine, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We've got plenty more to come. Stay safe out there.